Welcome to this introduction to the Dawson Regional Planning Commission's draft plan. The Commission and staff want to thank you for taking the time to familiarize yourself with the plan, and we hope this video will answer some of your questions. Details on how to get in touch will be given at the end of this video. This plan is the third of a network of regional land use plans to be produced through Chapter 11 of the Yukon First Nation Land Claim Agreements. We've divided this video into 4 main sections that will help us to cover all of the main points of the draft plan for the Dawson region. This video won't be able to cover everything, but a full copy of the draft plan can be found online via our website engagedawson.planyukon.ca. Let's now begin and move into Section 1, Introduction.
The Dawson Regional Planning Commission are responsible for the development of the draft plan. A Dawson Regional Planning Commission, or the Commission, was established in 2011, but in 2014 the planning process was suspended by the parties until the legal proceedings around the Peel watershed planning process were resolved. The planning process resumed in early 2019 with a new commission of 6 members jointly nominated by the Trondheim and the Government of Yukon. The new commission convened their first meeting on April 29, 2019 in Dawson City. The commission proceeded to create a new vision statement to update its foundational documents and develop a public engagement strategy. The current commission is made up of 3 Trondheim nominees, Debbie Nagano, who is also the chair, Alice McCulley, and Angie Joseph Rear, and 3 Yukon government nominees, John Flynn, Dan Reynolds, and Jesse Cook.
The Dawson Planning Region is in the west-central part of Yukon, encompassing almost 40,000 square kilometers, or about 10% of the territory. The quality of life of residents is attributed to opportunities and employment in mining and other economic sectors, a thriving cultural landscape, and healthy ecosystems that support a wide variety of fish and wildlife populations.
The Dawson Planning Region is bisected by the Taiga Cordillera ecozone in the north and the Boreal Cordillera ecozone in the south. The largest subwatershed in the region is the Central Yukon, which includes tributaries of 60 Mile River and the Indian River. The most distinct geological feature of the planning region is the Tintina Trench, a nearly 1,000-kilometer fault line along the continental margin of ancient North America. South of the Tintina Trench lie sedimentary deposits containing a variety of minerals including asbestos, copper, and gold. Gold eroding from quartz veins was concentrated by pre-Ice Age rivers into placer sand and gravel deposits.
The planning region falls within the traditional territory of 3 self-governing First Nations, Trondheim, Vuntut, and Nacho-Nayakdun First Nations. The planning region has a relatively small but stable population. Most residents reside in or immediately around Dawson City, with an annual area population of approximately 2,200. For generations, Trondheim and other First Nations traditionally occupied, traveled, or harvested in virtually every corner of the planning region. To this day, they maintain strong cultural connections to the region.
The planning region includes settlement lands, administered by the First Nation governments, and non-settlement or public lands, administered by the Government of Yukon. The planning region also contains lands that are already administered under existing plans, such as management plans, local area plans, and municipal plans. Economic development in the planning region has been closely linked to its mineral deposits. Hard rock, or quartz, and placer mining are significant economic activities within the region. Other economic activities include renewable resources such as agriculture, forestry, fishing, and wildlife harvesting. Tourism and recreation activities, particularly in the Dawson City area, also provide important economic opportunities. 3 major highways connect the region to southern Yukon. the Mackenzie Delta, and Alaska. There are also numerous secondary roads and trails, as well as a traditional trail system. Ecosystems in the region host a diversity of vegetation communities and geological landscapes, supporting a wide range of values including wildlife habitat, ecological health, carbon sequestration, and a renewable, sustainable resource economy. Important wildlife values include key areas for caribou herds, as well as moose, sheep, fish, salmon, and their habitats. The region also includes numerous species at risk, including migratory birds, barren ground caribou, and the spiked sassafras. The region holds the highest concentration of historic sites in the territory relating to gold mining, First Nations history, and early fur trade in the region.
As part of the planning process, the Commission created a vision statement and set out guiding principles to guide its work. For the region, the Dawson region encompasses a unique landscape that enables our community to build diverse economy while maintaining a rich cultural legacy and healthy environment. For the process, a shared and respectful use of natural resources is guided by the principles of sustainable development, respect for heritage and culture, and conservation of fish and wildlife habitats. Ongoing community stewardship based on consensus building will achieve significant and lasting social, economic, and ecological benefits for all Yukoners. For the plan, our regional plan will be crafted to reflect community values and will guide the integrated use of management of land, water, and resources. This vision underpins our overarching perspective for this plan, which is, on the land we walk together.
Key planning issues in the region reflect three main themes: sustainable economy, ecological integrity, conservation and stewardship, and culture and heritage. These three themes were informed by input from the parties and the public. They reflect a strong desire to strike a balance within the planning region between sustainable economic development and ecological and sociocultural preservation. The key planning issues for each theme and value are sustainable economy, mineral exploration and development, access and infrastructure, cumulative effects, community growth and recreation, agriculture, and tourism. Ecological integrity, conservation, and stewardship includes fish and wildlife habitat, protected and conserved areas, and climate change. Culture and heritage, heritage and resource sites, harvesting rights and activities.
The Commission has developed goals that express the desired future for the Dawson region and are intended to be used when measuring the plan's success. There are 11 goals that guided the development of the draft plan. Economic goals include facilitate existing and future sustainable economic development opportunities and activities, provide land use certainty and minimize land use conflicts, and manage access infrastructure. Ecological goals are maintain healthy aquatic terrestrial habitats, support the natural integrity of the planning region, preserve ecological representative areas and important ecosystem services, maintain connectivity between areas of key wildlife habitat, and support mitigation and adaptation to the effects of climate change. Social-cultural goals are promoting land stewardship, supporting land-based activities that strengthen connections to the land, and ensure traditional harvesting rights and activities are sustained.
In the next section, we will look at the guiding principles that informed the Commission as well as review the plan's key concepts and recommendations. Sustainable development. The plan is guided by the principle of sustainable development as defined in the Trondheim Final Agreement. That is, beneficial socio-economic change that does not undermine the ecological and social systems upon which communities and societies are dependent. Stewardship. Collective responsibility and actions are needed for the continued health and vitality of the region. Maintaining a strong community connection to the land is achievable through stewardship. For the Trontaquechin, stewardship is also an ancestral responsibility. Precautionary principle. Regional planning should consider potential impacts before making resource decisions. Our limited understanding of land use impacts on other resources in the North makes this especially important. The precautionary principle enables us to make sound decisions until such a time that more evidence of the potential impacts of these decisions is known. Adaptive management. The Dawson Planning Region, like all regions, is subject to environmental, economic, and social changes over time. Adaptive management means responding to changing land use and/or environmental conditions as needed. The principle provides flexibility to ensure regional land use plans are living documents that are open to periodic change and revision. Priority criteria for candidate conservation areas. Healthy air, water, vegetation, and wildlife are critical to sustaining life. Ensuring that ecological systems are maintained is central to the definition of sustainable development. Instead of establishing formal conservation targets, the Commission identified priority criteria to identify candidate conservation areas, such as fish and wildlife habitat, wetlands, and heritage, social, and cultural values.
The Dawson Regional Land Use Plan also includes 5 plan concepts. The Dawson Planning Region has been divided into 23 discrete areas called Landscape Management Units, or LMUs. Each LMU has a distinct management intent which translates to differences in how they are designated for land use. The Land Use Designation System describes the management intent of each LMU. The designation system recommended for the Dawson Planning Region consists of 3 major categories to guide the management of land use activities: special management areas, integrated stewardship areas, and corridor areas. These will be discussed in more detail in the presentation. Special management directions are considerations and conditions to be applied to specific land management units where development is allowed. The plan aims to accomplish sustainable development through recommended special management directions, where it is important to minimize or avoid the effects from development. General management directions guide land use decisions in the planning region. They are presented in this plan as strategies and are intended to be integrated into existing regulatory processes. They are organized around a results-based management framework, which is a structured way to determine if the plan goals and objectives are being met. Cumulative effects are net changes to the environment and/or society that result from land use activities in combination with other past, present, and future activities. It is important to think about how multiple activities on the landscape can affect its health and future use. Thresholds have been identified for each land use designation. Precautionary, cautionary, and critical thresholds are established. These will be help to ensure that current and future human activities do not overly disturb ecological or cultural resource values.
The draft plan makes some key recommendations that feed into all aspects of the plan. Some of these key recommendations are caribou. The Commission recognizes the importance of caribou in the region, including the 40-mile caribou herd, whose range spans most of the planning region. Recommendations for caribou habitat include the protection of critical habitat, limited development in a key migratory corridor, recommending timing windows and access management planning. Recommendations surrounding access focus on transportation and access planning that ensures development can occur carefully and responsibly while promoting a healthy regional economy. Conservation areas. 2 areas have been proposed for protected area designations, or Special Management Area 1, Matson Uplands and Upper Klondike. Wetlands. The draft plan makes many recommendations for wetlands, including the recognition of wetlands of special importance, Scotty Creek and Upper Indian River wetland complexes, and direction on limiting development in rare and sensitive wetland types. Stewardship. The plan introduces the concept of integrated stewardship areas. These not only focus on the use of land, but also the collective responsibility that we all have to be stewards of the land. Additionally, a land stewardship trust has been recommended to promote the ongoing practice of stewardship by the community and industry. Recommendations relating to mineral development and exploration. Recommendations that recognize the importance of mineral exploration and development in the region, including support for the implementation of the Yukon Mineral Development Strategy and the continued viability of existing claims in the areas that have been identified as Special Management Area 2.
The next section will look at land management units in more detail and review the different designations. The Dawson planning region has been divided into discrete areas of land. These are called landscape management units or land management units. Based on identified values and sensitivity to disturbance, different areas in the Dawson region require different land management. Special Management Area 1 is an area recommended for maximum conservation, and no new industrial land or surface disturbance would be allowed. All lands within these areas should be permanently withdrawn from any new industrial land use, dispositions, and surface access. These areas would also require a management plan and a legal designation, which should be determined by the parties through implementation, provided that the plan's management intent and direction is approved. Special Management Area 2 is an area recommended for high conservation of ecological and cultural values, and the intent is for long-term maintenance of wilderness character. It is not the Commission's intent that these areas receive legal designation as protected areas. Restricted industrial land use is allowed for existing mineral and other land use rights within the area. However, all other lands not currently under mineral or other land use tenure should be withdrawn.
Integrated Stewardship Area, or ISA designation, is used to identify where higher levels of industrial and other development can occur. The intent of all ISAs is to enable existing and future economic activities for both surface uses and subsurface resource extraction. Integrated stewardship areas allow for existing and new industrial uses, including mining and exploration, forestry, agriculture, and other land use activities. Existing and new surface access, such as roads and trails, is also allowed. Land management in these areas is based on the concept of stewardship. Within the integrated stewardship areas, there are 4 distinct subzones to further indicate the level of conservation or development focus. These subzones are differentiated by the amount of acceptable development that can occur in each of these areas. Cumulative effects indicators, in this case surface disturbance and linear disturbance, are tracked, monitored, and compared to ensure that they conform with the levels that have been set out in the plan.
Some areas within the Dawson planning region have been identified as future planning areas. These are areas where additional planning should occur based upon values, issues, and interests. Throughout the engagement period, the Commission and staff will be seeking views on these areas, as this feedback will be incorporated into the recommended plan as things to consider by the parties when sub-regional planning takes place. In accordance with the Trondheim-Gwich'in Final Agreement and terms of reference for the Dawson planning region, there are some areas that are not provided a designation in the draft plan. These areas include Tombstone Territorial Park, Klondike National Historic Sites, and areas subject to local planning, such as the City of Dawson municipal boundary.
The final section of this presentation will guide you through the next steps of the planning process, including how you can give your feedback to the Commission. The regional planning process, and specifically the draft plan, is a part of a longer process that started way back in 1993 when the Umbrella Final Agreement was signed. This graphic shows the journey so far, where we've been and where we aim to go. Now the draft plan is written, the Commission and its staff are actively seeking your views on its contents, including what you would like and what you'd like to change. They need your help and input to ensure that the recommended plan meets the vision for the region and is a plan that all Yukoners can see themselves in.
The Dawson Region Draft Regional Land Use Plan is now open for discussion and input. We'd like to remind you that no final decisions have been made about the draft plan for the Dawson region. Our commitment as a commission and its staff is to work with you to ensure your concerns, aspirations, and feedback are considered when it's time to write the recommended plan.
Thank you, and Masi Cho, for taking the time to review this video and introduce yourself to the Dawson Regional Draft Plan. The Commission and its staff hope you found it to be informative and that we've answered some of your questions. If you would like further information, please make note of the following contact information.